Sorry, I'm just recording my cat
Got
watching our fireplace.
the cat?
Yes, the life of leisure.
Yeah. Probably more interesting than the Cardinal season, huh?
Probably, actually. It's a lot easier to look at,
With
that's
that
for
being
sure.
said, hello everyone. Welcome to 12news.com and the 12 News app. Lena Washington, Cameron Cox. It's amazing how much this chat has dwindled down over the past few weeks.
We
You
might get some people popping in. You never know.
never know. You never
Late
know.
to the Zoom.
Everybody's busy on a Wednesday night. It's hard to line up everybody, but this is what we saw in HBO's Hard Knocks episode. It's been a long season.
Episode 5. We're only on episode 5. We've had
Gotcha. How many we
2
got
weeks
left?
off, really.
Which is weird. I figured they'd keep going. I figured they shot enough before the year to like turn some stuff, because they followed them before they started airing episodes. So I thought that was kind of weird. A lot of stuff today, Lena. A lot of stuff today. Watching this episode was it was weird. I don't know about you. I kept thinking a lot about Steve Keim. Obviously, the news today is taking an indefinite leave from the team for some health issues. Don't know what's wrong with him, how long he's going to be out, what the deal is. Didn't know if they were going to show anything about that. I didn't think I saw Steve at the game on Monday night, which is interesting. Usually you see him at some point walking. Now I could have missed him. Just saying, I could have missed him. So kept thinking about Steve Keim, wondering how he's doing. And you're just watching this, you're trying to enjoy it, love the stories with D Hop's mom. We've kind of told that before in a way, but it was cool to see them sit next to one another. But as it's going on, Lena, I kept thinking about all the stuff this team has been through this year.
Yeah. I
Hearing
mean,
hearing
we've
Robbie
listed
Anderson.
it off.
Yeah.
And it seems like every week it's something new. And they did mention at the end of the episode that Steve Keim is taking indefinite leave, which again is a very quick turn from the news that we got this afternoon, right? I don't know,
Had to update that,
exactly the timestamp.
yeah, they had
But
to update that about 4:45 tonight. Show done. You're just probably putting in a track real quick, and that's call it in the
yes,
TV land.
yes,
Um,
and we've seen they've showed Steve Keim on the sidelines in the car at his son's high school football game in the suite with the owner, and so he's been a very big part of the season as well. So obviously we hope that everything is well with him and his family. But yeah, Cam, it's been one thing after another, even going back to before the season even started. I don't even know if you have the graphic up available or if you have the
I
list available
I got
for
her.
those
Yeah,
who might just be tapping into what's been going on with the Cardinals at large in the year 2022.
yeah. It's and just I'll read the graphic here in just a second, but just this week alone, Steve Keim today. Cliff Kingsbury losing his college coach yesterday. Was that
Yeah,
yesterday? I see days blend
that
together.
was that was yes, 2 days ago,
Yeah,
really.
it's two days ago. A Kyler Murray injury the day before that. I mean, it's just tough. People always ask you Cardinals fans per se. I didn't grow up here in the Valley, so not really a fan. But you root for people. Like that's what in this business. You root for. You get to know these guys. You never want to see people fail. You never want to see people go through extremely hard times. And just when you look at this team, and we get to know a lot of these guys. Lena, you sit down with somebody every week. We're in the locker room every day, getting a chance to talk with these guys. We were out Christmas shopping with them the other night, and it seemed like everybody in that room at Walmart needed that night to smile and laugh because there hadn't been a lot to smile and laugh about. But man, it's tough to see this team go through some of that. Got the list here. Remember all the Kyler Murray contract drama to start the year. That was what seemed like half the year. You had D-Hop, who was suspended for PEDs. I don't know if many Cardinal fans, I hope they remember this, but cornerback Jeff Gladney was supposed to be a starter for this team, was killed in a car crash in the offseason, while the team was on a break. You had Hollywood Brown, who was then arrested for criminal speeding. 2 assistant coaches fired for alleged bad behavior. There was Antonio
Alleged
Hamilton.
bad behavior meaning assault on
Yeah.
women. Let's be clear. It's
Yep.
not, it's one was it was a criminal case in another state,
He
and
was
then
found
another
guilty
one in
for.
another country that
Yeah.
we haven't had an update since. But yes, continue.
Yep. Antonio Hamilton's freak cooking accident, days after being named a starter. How often you hear somebody burns their feet because they're cooking at home with their family and get oil spilt all over them? Didn't know if he was going to walk again with his injuries. Thankfully, he was able to get back. J.J. Watt, Mr. Superman himself, had to shock his heart because of AFib. I mean, Benjamin released because he was arguing with the coach after a win.
Which there was a development with that today, right? Another kind of 6 degrees from the Cardinals, in that he was waived by the Texans, and head coach Lovie Smith said, "We've gone in a different direction. We'll leave it at that. Sometimes a divorce is good." And
it sounds very similar to what we heard here.
And I said on social media, it's really more of an annulment because it didn't even last 30 days in the state of Texas. So.
Sure.
But that was another, development in terms of players and personnel. Zach Ertz going down with an ACL injury, which we saw on Hard Knocks, but which wasn't really covered per se by the cameras. And now you see Kyler Murray going down with an ACL that we feared that's what it was. It was later confirmed. I got to say, Cam, seeing the pain on his face and the strength that he even showed, the resolve, again, as the leader, the quarterback of this team, to take the towel off his head and wave to the fans, and probably what is going to be one of the lowest points of his football career since he was a kid, having to overcome an injury that takes so long to recover from, that we know historically several athletes have been able to come back from it, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But and that was only 40 minutes into tonight's episode that we got to that, because I gotta say, I really enjoyed this episode top to bottom, again, because they humanized the players. We're seeing, riding with Cliff Kingsbury at 3:12 in the morning. We know that he's usually the first guy in the building.
That's
and he's
earlier
there before.
Than I thought. That's a lot. I've always wondered,
he was in full workout mode at 4 a.m. He got past the warm up and the stretches, and he's going hard.
I've always wanted to just see if I could ever beat Cliff. Just maybe get up one morning real early, see. But not if he's driving there at 3:12 in the morning. Ain't having it.
You can beat him. You can get up before him if you never go to sleep. If you just stay up all night and sleep in the parking lot, you'll beat him there.
You know what? I hope everybody listens to him. And what he said, he had some good lines, but you could tell he really believes them because he acts on them about actions. The hardest step is putting your feet on the floor. You don't hit the snooze button. It's good advice for people who want to change something, want to do something, want to make themselves a little different, as he talked about too as well. What can I do to be different? I can be the first one in, the last one to leave.
And he learned from his experience as a player. He said that he didn't think that obviously injuries and other circumstances hindered his playing career, but he's trying to refocus that as a coach.
Yeah. Which I believe is the first time he said that. I was looking that up. I haven't seen that quote from him before. It's a interesting omission in a way. Sure. I have some regret about my playing career. So the one thing that I can control is what I do now as a coach. And I can control what time I get there. I control what time I leave. I can control what kind of example I set. I might not always call the best play, Lena, but I'm going to control everything that I can control.
Which he admitted to such after the game, was that he called some SE plays, right? But Cam, I really think I took a note of this, that the theme of this episode was vulnerability. Vulnerability from Cliff in talking about his shortcomings as a player, the vulnerability from Kyler in that moment, and even leading up to that, and how the Patrick Peterson back and forth has gone, how his players have gone to bat for him, the vulnerability from Cameron Thomas as a rookie to go to JJ, a guy that he's admitted several times, this is why I want to play football. This is the guy that I grew up admiring, and he's in the room with JJ. The lights are out. I don't know what time they were there, but no one else was in the room, and he's picking his brain, and JJ is being vulnerable, saying, I sucked as a rookie. You know what? I sucked. I was pulled from a game 3 times, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer, right? So
it wasn't until he made a massive play in a playoff game where it was like, oh, that's JJ Watt. And then after that, it was kind of like, oh, that's JJ Watt.
Right. But he has moments of weakness and vulnerability and learning, and he admitted that. And I think that was really powerful in this episode, the overall theme. And of course, Sabrina Greenlee, D Hop's mom,
Yeah.
sharing her story of survival is incredible.
She's such a strong lady. We've been able to talk to her a few times throughout, while Diop has been here. And every time you hear Diop talk about his mom, he lights up. You could just tell sitting next to her, he lights up. And I love the point where, she said where she was worried about sharing her story. It's a lot. That's tough to say. That's tough to talk about. That's tough to retell over and over again.
It was more in consideration for DeAndre because she understood that her son is going to be a star and they're going to get questions and he's going to have to open up.
Like anytime you go somewhere, mom comes along, it's going to be asked, or you go to a new team, you're going to have to retell it for that city who hadn't seen it, doesn't know it well. But it was cool to see why they did it. Maybe they can help people. They've helped a lot of people, just so people know at home. They've helped a lot of people throughout their time through her foundation too as well. D-Hop's involvement in their foundation, they've helped a lot of people. And that's the blessing that's come out of is all the people that they have helped along the way, and her talking about her story. Back to Cameron Thomas real quick. Interesting note. I haven't had a chance to ask him this yet, but I believe he was the last player to arrive at the stadium the other day. So I was walking out to do a live shot. All of a sudden, somebody comes running past me. I'm like, it's Cameron Thomas.
He's hard to miss.
I don't think he was late. I don't know how late is. Like, you got to be there 2 hours before. I don't remember when it was. It might have been an hour and a half before kickoff, maybe a little before that. Maybe
well, hey, traffic getting into Glendale on a Monday, it's going to be tough. I heard
Robert Kraft had to battle traffic too. So if he can't get there quickly, nobody can. But I want to ask him that this week. I swear I thought he was the last player because he came sprinting through the doors, down that little tunnel into the locker room. And then, of course, he has the game that he had. And then it was kind of cool to see him. And so I want to ask him about that. But Lena, that's a good point. Vulnerability. And it's good to see from this team too as well, because things aren't easy right now.
They haven't been easy all season. I mean, we're asking about the loss of a teammate, in the beginning of the whole calendar training camp year, right?
Just met,
Yes, and it's been tough for these players to go through the adversity they've dealt with, and again, these guys are also humans. Off the field, they have families and other dynamics that are playing into their lives. So, we all have a tough day at work, but not under the microscope that these guys have tough days at work, right?
Yeah, and everything we mentioned earlier
about his mother and his connection with his mother and her battle with cancer, I thought that was really special. But I also just couldn't help but notice the theme of the lion painting reoccurring in the office too. So he's got different sizes and different dimensions of that lion painting.
Of being a Leo, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, that's very Leo behavior.
I'm not very big on the sign thing, so I have no clue what
we got to figure out your rising and your that.
Yeah, I have no idea what any of those mean. Like, who's compatible with who? What is a Leo? I've never. It's not my thing. This has never been my thing. Congratulations, you were born in that month. That means this. I couldn't list all the traits.
You'll come around.
Okay. Cool.
I also, and we kind of discussed it as media types in this market, which I also thought was a takeaway from this, at least the first half of the episode, it was very from a media perspective, really. It was conversations and storylines that we followed. It was in the locker room with D-Hop and Hollywood. And I thought that was an interesting take, but Bill Belichick, praising D-Hop and them literally telling each other they love each other after the game. It's hard for Bill Belichick to crack a smile or show have some inflection in his voice, but he obviously respects D-Hop and D-Hop respects him back. And I think that was also a special moment, some light in the darkness that was really the game. And
it would be nice I know some buddies in Boston, I tell them all the time, man, I just wish Bill would show a little bit of his personality. But you know what, Lena? The guy he's at the podium is kind of the guy he's at behind the scenes. I think it's a famous Hard Knocks clip of him and Randy Moss sitting down and Randy inviting him to a Halloween party. And Randy's like firing off about costumes and what you saw. And in the same tone, it's not like he's getting hired to. He's talking about costumes and he's talking about this and he's saying this and saying that. But it's the same tone he uses all the time. So it's like,
hey, it's worked. Why switch up now? Why switch up now?
We mentioned a list earlier of all the things that they've gone on. That's not even like football related. The crazy, we did
No,
the O line. You could go to
the O
injury
line's,
more. I
put
mean,
together with bubble gum and string. I mean,
yeah,
you've got
it's
the
just
offense that hasn't played together
Cliff and
until week
Kyler. Yeah,
12.
the offense, the first team offense has never played together. Cliff and Kyler, the calm down that we were reminded about in the group chat tonight. The soft training camp where nobody practiced, and then they blamed the first 4 weeks on, hey, because we didn't get any practice. It's the new guy Jonathan's fault. Probably who just walked back there. Who knows, right?
Well, he's bringing the Houston juju around the spot. That's maybe throwing things off.
You're good, man. It's just your fault. Don't worry about it. No, Jonathan's a good dude. Lena, it's just been one thing after another. It's just been one thing. So it was cool to watch. Hard Knocks, I thought, delivered tonight. Went with this, but like the whole time I'm watching it, you're just thinking about everything else. It's cool to see, the guys tell some things and share some stories. But man, I just think when I walk into the facility every day, those are just the lists that I think about, is everything that they've been through. And it's just, it's very unique.
It's really jarring because Cam, I mean, this time last year, again, this was a Super Bowl aspiration team. This was largely the same
about
group
Super Bowl and an MVP award for Kyler Murray.
Yes. And it's taken a disastrous turn. And shout out to the writers, and obviously the delivery of narrator Liev Schreiber. The season's not lost, not yet anyway, but a reckoning is coming. I mean, gosh, could you be more ominous? We know the reckoning is coming. There were so many great lines like that were just the line about the desert. It gets dark in the desert and then it cuts to black. I mean, shout out again to the whole production team for making what again has been a really tough season, both football wise, mentally for these players and staff members, into something that's been, intriguing to watch and really beautifully done. And I know that that's probably not easy for them to watch so many times, right? As people who have to edit, you don't want to see Kyler Murray, on the verge of tears over and over again on your screen. I mean, that's just, I think anybody with.
I thought they, listen, this season of Hard Knocks has changed my view on the show. Coming into the season, I thought they showed everything behind the scenes. We have not gotten that access, and I don't know if that's because it's in season. We just haven't. You haven't seen it, I get it. It's not a football show. That's one thing the director told us at the beginning. It's a human show. It's a people show. It's a character show. It is not a football show. The football fan in me would like to see more behind the scenes. That's the only thing we did not see, is when they brought Kyler back. I thought there would be a camera back there with him. That's just me, and knowing what Hard Knocks has shown in the past. Sure. So we didn't get that.
I think that's been an overall theme and gripe among fans. I mean, again, the whole omission of the Eno situation, I think, lost a lot of fans in terms of trustworthiness when it comes to.
Because it was one of their guys who said we had it. You had it. Some their guys said they had it, right? And then they didn't have it. Where'd it go? Did you not have it? Were you just doing to sell clicks? I don't know. That's interesting.
And it's obviously the audience wants that. They want to see that. I feel like HBO is pretty privy to give the audience what they want in
That's
series.
What I mean. We've seen players get cut, get traded. Chad Ochocinco, get cut.
Famously, yes. I mean, the Jarvis Landry rant. I mean,
yeah, it's contagious, bro. That was one of my favorites. I just realized my dinner's been in the microwave for an hour. I hope I got caught watching Hard Knocks and I never took it out of the microwave.
Well, it is that gripping. It keeps you away from your food. That's how hard the knocks were tonight, at least in episode 5. We asked our viewers this, but I just want to ask you again, what do you think would make the rest of the Cardinals season interesting? We have 4 episodes obviously left of the show and of the season. As somebody who's boots on the ground, get to see or don't see a lot of stuff, what would make this series interesting or the rest of the season interesting?
Who they got left? The Broncos. They got the Patriots and the Falcons.
They just lost to the Patriots. They have the Niners.
The Niners, the Falcons on New Year's, then then Tom Brady. See, I got Tom Brady's
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers
Buccaneers
mix.
on Christmas.
Yeah, we don't remember everything, folks. All right, it happens. All right, it's late. And then this would do if they can rattle off 4 straight wins. I think it'd be something to speak on. They're gonna
Do you think that's possible?
I don't know if it's possible, Lena, and I say that because they're hurting. Like Rondell Moore, who knows what the future holds for him? The man can't stay healthy. Like I like Rondell, can't stay healthy on injured reserve. Zach Allen just had hand surgery. Will he be back? Who's going to play on the defensive line? I don't know.
Well, we do know this. If Zach can go on one ligament, he'll go.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
that hand injury must be very serious.
He talked about that last year. Lena, it's just going to be interesting. Like, I've said this for weeks now, they got decisions to make coming up, like big decisions. Robbie Anderson, what do you do with him next year? On the old line, who are the young guys you're going to build around? Are you bringing back DJ Humphries? Are you bringing back Rodney Hudson? Are some of these young guys going to be your cat? James Conner, I think he needs to play well. The Cardinals are going to be in a perfect spot, maybe to draft Bijan Robinson, who I think is one of the best players in college football. We've seen them turn down a great running back before, and look what happened. There's a lot of interesting things that could happen if certain players on this team just don't perform, and they could leave some massive holes if you don't want to rebuild. That's the key. Who is going to step up and show this coaching staff, show the front office that they're worth their salt to make sure this team does not rebuild? Because if the answer is not many, then unfortunately you tear it down and you start over. And you're going to start over with a very expensive quarterback who is likely going to miss the start of next year. And when you do that, you're probably trading names that are up there in that roster. Are you keeping Hop if you're rebuilding? I don't know. You keeping Hollywood if you're rebuilding? You keeping DJ if you're rebuilding? I don't know. Are you bringing back J.J. Watt if you're like those? That's what we're getting to with the questions with the Cardinals. And so 4 straight wins would help solidify some guys and have some hope to build on next year where the holes don't look as big to reload instead of rebuild. But if you lose all 4, you go 1-3. I mean, it's this roster is talking about it's going to be a major overhaul anyway with all their free agents, but you're talking about really finding new pieces to plug and play with this team moving forward next year if this season is just awful the rest of the way. Because you can't bring it back. I think we can both agree on that, Lena. Like you're not running back a whatever whatever team. You know what I mean? You're just not. You just can't do that. No matter who's hurt in and out of the lineup, you can't run it back. You just can't.
I think the concern among some fans is that all of the variables have given some leeway to allow that to happen. You didn't have D-Hop. Okay, if he comes back, then that's gonna, fix the first 6 games. Then, so-and-so was hurt, and they're not even so-and-so. It's Zach Ertz and Kyler Murray, right? Like they're not going to be fully ready to go by week 1 of through training camp, probably as they continue to recover. Unless obviously they get whatever J.J. Watt gets and he can come back in expedited time like he did last year, right? I don't think it's realistic that they go 4-0 based on what we've seen. I don't even know if they've won 2 games in a row this season. So it's very possible they go 1-3, 2-2. I think would be, a win considering how things have gone and how things have turned, especially in these last 2 games. I think, again, what would be interesting is continuing to get more stories from these players. James Conner hasn't really been featured so much. We heard him in the huddle at the end of this episode, keeping it real. And I just actually finished listening to his book that he ended up releasing during the pandemic. I did the audiobook because I spent a lot of time in the car with this job, but it was really fantastic. I mean, we know his story. I've covered it since he was in college and telling his story. But to hear it from his perspective and how he wove in his faith and everything was really remarkable. So there's something there that I think HBO and NFL Films can extract to make some compelling television if James is willing to share his story in that way. get more into Hollywood stories. Sure, let's meet some of the other guys on the team. Let's go meet the family. We met DeAndre Hopkins' sister, who I think again was all of us. Oh, he got sacked again. He got sacked again. Oh, that was all of us. Absolutely. Yes, that keep the women coming. All the women associated with the guys, they are great characters. So let's see more of them and keep them coming as well. But that's what I think can make the rest of the season interesting. Because we know that playoffs aren't going to be a storyline coming up. So it's really just getting to know these guys and how they handle adversity. Yeah. And that's going to be the drama that HBO brings us every Wednesday night, at least for the next 4 Wednesdays, right?
4 straight wins would help some drama and be more pleasant to talk about on Sunday night. That'll do it for myself, Lena, and our cat. Where's the cat?
It's dinner. He's having his 4th meal right now.
Gotcha. 4th meal.
Yes.
4th meal. Got it. Cat is well fed over there at Lena's household. For all those that are wondering, cat is well fed. Cat is well fed. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good night.